Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel, or welcome to our channel if you're new here. So in today's video, we'll be showing you how to make this eggplant lasagna dish. Now this is by no means a vegetarian lasagna. It does have ground chicken in it, however it is made a little differently. Instead of using pasta, we're actually using eggplant on our layers. We thought this was a really innovative way to have lasagna, and usually eggplants and all of these tomato sauces and Italian dishes go very well together. So we thought we'd try it out and show you guys. So if you'd like to see how to make this delicious lasagna dish, then please keep on watching. Alright, so as always, we're going to start off with the ingredients you'll need. As always, they're going to be in the description box below. So you're going to need green, yellow, and orange peppers if you desire them, 1 onion, 6 cloves of garlic, a tomato. You'll also need a piece of ginger. We're going to be shredding that, and you'll also need parsley and oregano. Now, these ingredients can be subbed out for anything else that you'd like. Of course, you're also going to need your eggplants. We always get the larger eggplants because, of course, you want to make large slices so that you have enough layers for your lasagna. You're also going to need 6 eggs. You're going to need, of course, some tomato sauce. We use these 2 sauces. We mix them together. We thought they tasted really well together instead of having just one sauce. You're also going to need a oven-safe baking pan. And of course, you're going to need your choice of cheese. Now, we buy the pre-shredded cheese already, so it's the double cheddar that we're going to be using, as well as mozzarella. You're also going to need, of course, your choice of meat. We're using chicken for this recipe, but you can use any meat that you'd like. You're also going to need olive oil as well. You're also going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. And that's pretty much what you're going to start off with, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to start off with is your eggs. So we're going to put all of our eggs into the pot to boil. You don't want to boil this too much because, again, it's going to be going into the oven with the lasagna, so you don't want it to be overcooked. And you're probably going to cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes. Alright, so you guys may remember this chopper if you watched our previous video. We used it in that as well. So we're going to be taking our ginger as well as the garlic. And we're also going to be taking a hot pepper, and of course that's optional, but we really like spice, so that's why we're adding that in. And you're also going to be adding in these celery leaves, as well as some cilantro into this chopper. Now, this is a manual chopper, as I mentioned in our previous video, so it's kind of like a pulley, so you pull it and it minces up all of the ingredients. By all means, you don't really need to do this, but you can always just chop them up manually and just put them into your meat. We're also adding here the onions. We dice them up so it's easier to when the chopper is working, as you can see here. So we're just gonna mince this up finely so it becomes kind of like a seasoning paste, and it's really fresh, and we really like using this chopper for it. It's manual, it's easy, and it just makes our ingredients taste a lot better in the foods that we put them in. So this is what you're going for if you are using something similar to this. And now we're going to take our ground chicken in this case, and we're going to put in our teaspoon of salt. And then you're going to be adding in your seasoning mix, or in any other case you would just be adding in all the same ingredients that we added into the chopper. You just add them straight into the meat. And this is just going to make our meat nice and seasoned, because even though this is going into a lasagna, which will have a lot of seasoning from the sauce and all of the other ingredients, you still want to make sure that the meat itself is not just tasting like chicken, that it's seasoned chicken. So you're just going to mix that together like you would if you were making burgers or anything like that. And you just want to make sure that all of the meat is coated nicely with the seasoning. Alright, so now we're going to move on to a little bit of the tricky part, which is the eggplant. So we're first going to cut off the stem of the eggplant, and then we're going to prepare it into slices. So you're going to turn it on its head, and then you're going to slice it down vertically. And this will just allow us to make smaller slices so that we can make them into lasagna layers. Now, when you see us cut it here in this video, you may notice it's a little bit thick. I would say cut it like an inch or so thinner, and that way you'll still have the solidness of the eggplant to hold your lasagna together, but it'll also make sure that it doesn't actually melt. Ours never melted when we did make the lasagna, however it was a little bit thicker than we would have wanted, so we recommend that if you are trying this recipe out, just make it into a lot thinner slices, that way it cooks through perfectly but it doesn't melt away. Alright, so now that those are sliced, we're going to take some of the additional seasoning that we had left over and we're going to add that to our eggplant. You're also going to be adding in about a teaspoon of salt. You can add more or less depending on what you prefer. In this case, we didn't want to salt it too heavily because we're already adding so much seasoning. We're also adding here a 1/4 teaspoon of olive oil. Now, the reason we're adding all of this seasoning to this ingredient as well is that we want to make sure that all of our individual ingredients are well seasoned. That way we don't really need to add any other seasoning on top of our lasagna. So you're just going to mix all of this together, and you're going to make sure that each individual piece of eggplant is coated nicely. That way when it does cook, not one is more heavily seasoned than the other. Alright, so we're going to set that aside and move on to the bell peppers. Now you're going to cut them in half, and then you're going to make sure that there are no seeds and little pieces inside because no one likes those on top of their food. So we're going to slice them into smaller slices like this. And what this does is that it creates a nice flattened layer, a very thin layer that you can add to the lasagna just to make it a little bit higher. So for example, if you needed an extra layer but you didn't want to add too much stuff, this would be the perfect layer. That's why we are doing 3 peppers instead of just this one. So we're just going to speed it up here, and we're going to be repeating the same process with all of the peppers that we're adding in. Alright, so with our eggs, we had already peeled these and set them aside, but you can just slice them into regular slices like this. It's all up to you how you would like to slice them. I think this would be the best way because it's flat and it works really well as a layer. And these eggs are, yes, well cooked, but if you do want your eggs a little bit runnier, I would say take it off before they cook completely. That way that when you put them in the oven, they're not too heavily cooked. You're also going to be dicing up your tomatoes so that we can add that in. Now I know there's already a lot of tomato sauce going to be in this recipe, but we decided that tomatoes are still important to have in there, especially because it's going to be flavoring our meat. It's not going in as a layer, so it's going to add another dimension to our ground chicken that we have from earlier. Speaking of that ground chicken, we're going to slightly cook this before we do anything in the oven. So you're going to take some olive oil or regular cooking oil, and you're going to heat up your pan. Now our pan is already preheated, so as you can see here, we're adding in our tomatoes. And then we're going to slowly add in our chicken, and we're just going to cook this as if you were cooking like filling for tacos or anything like that, just like how you would cook any ground chicken. You just cook it in the pan. We're not going to cook it all the way through, and this is because we want to make sure that it's not already fully cooked before we put it into the oven. We want to make sure that it's at least halfway cooked so that when it does go into the oven, it's cooked perfectly once it comes out. And this is what it should look like. Now we are going to be adding in some of the tomato sauce just so that it has some color to it before we start layering our lasagna. And then you're just going to mix this together, making sure that all of that tomato sauce is coated on that chicken. And you're just going to let this cook on its own for about 4 to 5 minutes, depending on how cooked you would like your chicken. Now we're going to take the rest of the tomato sauce, that's why we use 2 cans, and we're going to add that into our pan as our first layer. Now the reason we're doing this instead of just putting the eggplant down straight away is that we want to make sure that both sides of the eggplant and both sides of the lasagna are coated with our sauce. Alright, so now that that is added, we're going to start adding in our cheese. And this is gonna act as our first layer before our eggplant. And you can see here that we mixed both cheeses, the mozzarella and cheddar. We thought that this is a really good cheese combination for lasagna, but you can use any cheese that you'd like. We're now gonna be adding in our eggplant. So this is our first layer of the eggplant, and you can place them however you'd like, depending on the shape of your pan, of course. We just used 4 for each layer. And you're gonna add some more of that tomato sauce. And some more of that cheese. Alright, so now we're gonna add our ground chicken as another layer. And as you can see, we're kind of just winging it with the layers. You can add the layers however you'd like, as long as you have that dividing layer of eggplant that will hold everything together. Alright, so now we're gonna add in our bell peppers, and you can place these however you like. We thought they gave a really nice color to the lasagna. We're then also adding in our eggs, because we did make a lot of eggs, so we're deciding to put a lot more layers of this near the top. Then you're gonna take some more sauce, and we're gonna put that on top as well, and some more cheese. We're then adding another layer of the lasagna. Now you want to be careful not to overstack your lasagna. We're just using an amount that hits right at the edge of the pan. That way we're not going too high over, because if you do make it a little bit too tall, it might stand the chance of toppling over in the oven, and we really don't want that. Alright, so this is what the lasagna looks like before we put it in the oven. And as you can see, we also added some extra pieces of the eggplant, because we did have some additional pieces. We added them on the side so that it looked very full. You're gonna want to put this in the oven for about 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour or so. You want to keep checking it constantly to make sure the eggplant cooks. And after our hour and a half, this is what our eggplant lasagna looks like. As you can see, all of the sauce is dripping up the front. It looks really delicious. So let's plate it. Alright, so this is our lasagna slice, and this is our recipe completed. We really hope you guys enjoyed this. It was super delicious. I had about like 3 slices of it that night. It's really great. Our eggplant was a little bit thick, but it's still cooked through and through. It was nice and soft, but we recommend that you do slice it a little bit thinner when you do make it. So without further ado, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to comment down below what you thought of this video and other videos on our channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos every week. Now, I know our upload schedule is a little bit wonky, but we're trying our best, as I always say, to keep track with this. We noticed that there's a lot of new subscribers, so hi guys, welcome. We're gonna try to do a lot more videos, so let us know what you guys want to see. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and thanks for watching. Bye!